Premium quality football shirts at an extremely affordable price. Sound good? If so, check out the sponsor of today's video, jerseyfifa.com. You can see that I've sent you some shirts and they really are top quality, so make sure to click the link in the description to go find a shirt for yourself or perhaps as a gift for someone else. And you can now use code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. That's code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. I really do recommend their product, so go take a look. Now let's get into the analysis. So for the first time in just over a decade, AC Milan finally won the Scudetto, which for those who don't know, means they of course won the league title in Italy this season, edging their way to the top after a brilliant battle. Of course, when a team wins the league, especially after so long, the manager obviously deserves a lot of credit. So today we're going to be looking at how Piolo set up his side this season, and of course how they won the Scudetto. So we'll start off with the formation, and the primary shape used by AC Milan this season was a 4-2-3-1 shape. So let's take a look at the individual players and roles that have allowed AC Milan to have so much success. So we'll start off in goal, and the man between the posts this season has been Mike Maignan, and to be honest, there's an argument to be made that he has been one of the best and certainly most important players for most of the season. There were obviously concerns at the club when Donnarumma left, but very early on in the season, Maignan proved that he was more than capable of taking that number 1 spot, and some of his saves this season have been truly phenomenal. In front of the keeper, we've seen a variation of different centre-back partnerships, although one of the main pairings we've seen is the youthful pair of Tomori and Kululu, and again the manager deserves credit for having faith in a reasonably inexperienced duo. To be fair, the job of the two centre-backs and the pressure on the two has been reduced somewhat, simply because AC Milan tended to have a good amount of possession in pretty much every game this season, giving the defence less work to do. The main shape that Milan have used to gain this dominance in possession has been a bit of a 2-4 shape, with the two fullbacks pushing slightly further forward in the middle third to play in line with the midfield double pivot. Despite predominantly building possession in this shape, we have seen the odd change as well, especially when Milan have struggled to progress the ball through the thirds, and in these scenarios we've often seen one of the midfielders dropping deeper into the defence. One of the players that has done this a fair amount this season is young Italian midfielder Sandro Tonali, and it's his brilliant ability on the ball which has allowed him to drop into these deeper positions to help the team then progress the play. With one of the midfielders dropping into the defence, we then saw the more attacking midfielder then drop into the midfield, and as a result AC Milan were quickly able to adapt from a 2-4 shape into more of a 3-4 shape with the extra man. This midfield area has rotated quite a lot during the season. We've already spoken about Tonali, but we've also regularly seen Kessie and Bennacer in the midfield double pivot, and at times we've seen all three of them in the team at the same time. The way that Piolo has occasionally managed to get all three into the team is by pushing Kessie slightly higher, so rather than playing as part of the double pivot, there have actually been several games where he has operated as a more of an attacking midfielder. No matter what the combination, Milan's midfield have been impressive in possession this season, thanks to their ability on the ball, and what this has done is allowed the two fullbacks to be brought into the game slightly further up the pitch. So we'll start with Theo Hernandez, and what is there to say really? He has been absolutely brilliant yet again this season, and he continues to play an integral role in this team, something that we'll discuss in more detail in just a couple of minutes time. On the right hand side of the defence it has been Calabria playing at fullback more often than not. Now no disrespect to Calabria, but he doesn't have that bit of star quality that Hernandez possesses, but he has still played well this season. So what has the main role of the two fullbacks been? Well, perhaps slightly surprisingly, the two fullbacks have been quite narrow for most of the season, and have actually both often pushed forward with underlapping runs. Of course, on the left hand side this has suited Theo Hernandez's game pretty perfectly, thanks to his ability to carry the ball forward, and we've seen time and time again that his dribbling ability is up there with some of the best fullbacks in world football. This can be seen when we look at his FBref report as well, as he ranks in the 92nd percentile for dribbles completed, and it's been this ball carrying ability which has allowed him to pick the ball up before really driving forward in field. As a result of this often narrow positioning from the two fullbacks, it meant that the wingers spent a lot of the season holding quite a wide position, getting chalk on their boots to make sure that the width is there for the attacking setup. So on the right hand side of the attack, Salamakers was often the main choice, playing out wide. He's had a pretty good season, although considering his advanced position, his output in terms of goal contributions has been a little bit low. The same can't be said for Rafa Leao on the left hand side, because he's managed to grab himself 11 goals and 10 assists in the league, and as the season has progressed, he has really grown into this role on the left hand side of the attack. The particularly impressive thing about Leao this season has been his dribbling ability, and a really exciting thing has been when he's been surrounded by 2 or 3 defenders, but he still managed to wiggle his way past them with the ball at his feet. As I was saying earlier, Leao's impressive form is shown when we look at his stats as well, and we can see that in all competitions this season, we can see that he was very nearly at 30 goal contributions, which is obviously very impressive. The impressive form continues to show when we look at his FB Ref report, where he ranks in the 80th percentile or higher for several key stats, and I would certainly recommend you to check out some of his performances from this season. Another player that supported the 2 wingers in these wide areas has been the attacking midfielder, who for large periods has been Brahim Diaz, and as I said, his main role has been to drift into these wider areas to help the wingers. Diaz has continued to play this role for large parts of the season, although unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to hit the heights of some of his teammates, and he has just struggled a little bit for large periods of the season. Regardless of the form of Diaz, his ability to drift into these wider areas has been important this season, because it has created the potential for wide rotations between Diaz, the fullback, and of course the winger that is playing on that side. As I was saying there, one of the results of this has been the wingers often moving into a more central area, allowing the fullbacks to push much wider, making overlapping runs out wide, creating this dangerous wide rotation. As we're progressing through the video, we can see that rotations have been a key part of Pioli's tactics this season, with those rotations in midfield that we were talking about earlier, as well as those dangerous combinations out wide just now. With all of these subtle patterns to progress the ball forward, the ultimate aim for Pioli and Milan this season has been to work the ball into the opposition's penalty area, giving the striker in the box a form of supply for the striker to thrive off. One of the main men in the box for Milan this season has been Olivier Giroud, and he actually finished the season as Milan's 2nd highest goal scorer, finishing the season with 11 goals, just one off Leao as the top scorer for Milan. Whilst those 2 have been the main supply of goals, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has obviously had a role to play this season as well, and before his serious injury towards the end of the season, he bagged himself 8 goals in the league, which were crucial. Despite all of his positive play and obviously winning the league, Milan have actually had a few struggles this year, and despite what the points tally suggests, Milan have often struggled to break down some of the smaller teams in the league. Fortunately, Milan have made up for this with some of their performances in the big games, and despite the occasional blip, they've secured important wins or draws against Lazio, Juventus, Inter and Napoli. There's been some brilliant big games. One of the reasons for the success has been Milan's work off the ball, and they actually ended the season with the best defensive record in the league, and some of that was thanks to their reasonably intense press that they use when they're out of possession. In these situations, Milan have often shifted to more of a 4-4-2 formation in these defensive situations, allowing them to get numbers in the middle, making it more difficult for the opposition to play through them down the centre of the pitch. Of course, the brilliant athleticism of the 2 young centre-backs has helped with this massively, and their pace has given Milan a little bit of security blanket when pressing up the pitch, and this has given Milan this solid defence to build from. As a result of the defensive brilliance of this side and the performances of Maignan in goal, Milan finished the season with the joint least goals conceded, whilst Maignan also finished the season with the most clean sheets in the league, and it was well deserved. After a brilliant league winning season, the question now for Milan is how they can progress this summer, and I'm extremely interested to see what business they do this summer and whether or not they're able to build on the success that they have had this season. I guess the ultimate next goal is to try and find more success in Europe, and I'm sure the fans would love the team to take that next step in Europe to really make a push in the Champions League, because they weren't really good enough or of the standard that was needed this season. However, for now it's a time of celebration for AC Milan and their fans, and it's important that they enjoy this success, whilst I'm sure plenty of work is being done behind the scenes to make this success a more regular occurrence. But I want to know what you think. How good were AC Milan this season, and did they deserve to win the league? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.